Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday to you on this September 25th, 2025. I have all your stories for your rush hour ride to work. Lots to get into. Big movement in the Baldoni versus Lively case, as apparently the man who was accused of breaking into Travis Kelce's home to serve Taylor Swift on behalf of Baldoni was part of that story made up. We're going to get into that and updates on the Rapture. And we've also got more on the Jimmy Kimmel ratings boom that has happened after he was canceled and uncanceled. And then farmers may be getting a bailout after, of course, the tariff policies have left them unable to sell their crops in some case. And then more on the war happening in Ukraine in the government's sudden flip-flopping on policy. So much to get into. All these stories and more, and it starts right now on The Rush. Now, as you guys may already know, due to my NPR voice, I've got a young baby, and I'm on the road traveling with my family, which makes it very hard to talk above a certain decibel level, lest I wake a sleeping child, which you're not supposed to do. So I thank everybody who's enjoyed my silky smooth, low voice as I podcast just feet away from a baby. It's not easy traveling with my setup, but I got several extra monitors and the camera and the mobile microphone. So we're trying our best to keep you uninterrupted with the news twice a day, every day. If you like what I do, please consider subscribing on YouTube or hitting the like button or leaving a comment or a 5-star review. It keeps the channel in good standing with the algorithm gods. And speaking of the other gods, the gods of the earth algorithm, here is the pastor from South Africa offering an apology after his dates were wrong for the rapture. Lots of folks sold their cars and worldly possessions. Also, they could levitate into the heavens. Well, unless maybe maybe the rapture did happen and no one was worthy of it. I don't know. I haven't seen a dip in my ratings, so my audience is a bunch of heathens. But here's what the pastor had to say.
Yes, greetings and good morning, beloved. Yes, once again, my name is King Salem Igwe, and I'm here with all humility to apologize to everyone who have had me promote Brother Joshua's 23rd, 24th date of September rapture.
And I say this, like he said, he got the date wrong. I understand. What's that old saying? Let he who didn't get the rapture date wrong throw the first stone. So he's offering a mea culpa along with other folks who got the date wrong. Look, here's my advice to people out there. Try to live every day like it's your last. But again, don't go crazy with that. Banging hookers and eating a bunch of brownies in moderation. Okay. I mean, do whatever you want, right? Anyway, speaking of living every day like it's your last, Golden Bachelor is back. Now, I haven't watched it. I don't have access in the country that I'm at to the Golden Bachelor series. My guess is the ratings are not too high. And this is Mel, the next Bachelor. And in his premiere episode, he offered an apology. You see, what he said on a podcast was that he would refuse to date women over 60, something about not wanting their wigs and hip replacements. It did not go over well with a female-heavy, I mean that in the demographics, of course, a female-heavy audience. Here's what he had to say, night one of his premiere of Golden Bachelor.
This has exceeded my expectations, right?
Yeah.
And every one of you ladies is wonderful.
Oh.
And some of the questions were about the podcast that I did, and I sincerely apologize. It was insensitive, unfair, and I thought to myself, what the puck was I thinking about?
That's my line.
Right there, I know, that's what I'm saying. And it's truly a privilege for me to be the Golden Bachelor, and I hope you forgive me.
So he asked for their forgiveness. And here's the deal. If ABC had more time to recast The Bachelor, they would have. They were stuck with him. And, we'll see how it goes. But I think it's good that they're having the conversation about ageism. And also, it's like, look, the guy, it's like you're allowed to date whatever age you want to date. It was just a bonehead thing to say before heading onto the show. And again, he's paying the price. This is what Kelly Ripa had to say to Mel about those comments.
I don't want to call it controversial,
controversial. But you made the controversial statement. And again, I don't think it's controversial, but you didn't want to date anyone over the age of 60.
Well, I didn't say I didn't want to.
You just said you refused.
Yeah, well.
So there it is. It's like contractually, I'd rather not, but if you're forcing me to. So those are your updates on Golden Bachelor. Let me know what you think. All right. Again, we will be getting to this crazy Taylor Swift story in a moment here, but let's share what the Vice President of the United States had to say about Jimmy Kimmel's monologue. Okay, again, we've been talking about this. It was, culturally speaking, one of the biggest pop culture moments in our country this year. The moment where one of our, there's only several of them, right? Several late night TV show hosts. One was essentially fired and rehired days after a huge pushback from the audience. And, obviously we've made my point known, which is that the FCC meddled. Brennan Carr said we could do this the easy way or the hard way. So the government did want to get involved. And people are saying, now that Jimmy Kimmel's back, doesn't this prove the government didn't get involved? What are you talking about? No, the government absolutely is trying to use whatever leverage they have, getting Sinclair and Nexstar, these media groups, to try to boycott Jimmy Kimmel. It's cancel culture. That's what it is. So don't let anyone ever say they weren't for cancel culture. It exists all over. Well, here's what J.D. Vance had to say about Jimmy Kimmel's monologue.
Well, I watched it, and look, in some ways it was kind of kind-hearted. On the other hand, he didn't actually say sorry to Charlie Kirk or his family. And
sorry for what? What should he be sorry for? He did nothing to make fun of Charlie Kirk.
The reason that so many people, including me, were so upset with what Jimmy Kimmel said is that he accused Charlie Kirk's murderer of being a MAGA or a right-wing American. It wasn't a joke. It was straight-up disinformation, and I really wish Jimmy Kimmel would apologize for it. If we go back in time to a couple of weeks ago, Charlie Kirk was a dear friend of mine. He was murdered by a left-wing assassin who was very explicitly motivated by left-wing political ideas. That happens, and then you blame the very people who are praying and holding vigils and mourning Charlie Kirk's death. You say this assassin came from your part of the country and not use it as an opportunity to look in the mirror and say, why do we have so much left-wing political violence in the United States of America right now?
I'm so glad Jimmy Kimmel has not apologized. I truly am. The amount of contortion that's going on from folks like J.D. Vance to try to be on this sort of morally superior side, it's absolutely bananas, right? Charlie Kirk said that MAGA will try to do anything it can to point the finger at anyone else but themselves when it comes to who to blame. I know it's pretty wordy, it's pretty complicated, but what he is not saying is this shooter was MAGA. He's saying MAGA, again, that being Donald Trump, folks like J.D. Vance, and so many others, Jesse Waters, they all wanted to immediately place blame. That's why it backfired for them, and for them to say this assassin is left. And by the way, I don't even know if assassin is the right term. This shooter is left-leaning with his ideologies. Other than him maybe being gay-friendly, first of all, I don't believe that to be left-leaning, right? Could it be that if someone's gay-friendly, they just think that, the left might be more welcoming to the LGBTQIA plus community? Did I get all the letters? I don't know if that's the case or not. I've yet to see that this left-leaning shooter wanted Medicare for all. This left-leaning shooter wanted teachers to be paid more. Can you believe this left-leaning shooter wanted a 4-day work week? What the fuck are we talking about? What was the ideology that makes them left-wing? Am I part of the wrong movement? You know what I mean here? It really makes you wonder. Going back to Kelly Ripa, here's what she had to say about Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel returned to his show last night.
Yeah.
We know him personally, and when I tell you he's one of the kindest, most generous people that I know. He cares about his family, takes care of his crew, his staff, everybody. He really, really cares. And
he cares about people.
Yeah, and his statements last night, I think, were on point. He understood both sides. And one thing we can all agree on as a country is that the First Amendment is really, really important. And, we do a light show here. We don't talk about any politics here. We just don't do it. We know that our fans at home want an escape from all of that. But I think it's important to that we all are free, because you never know. We could say something crazy and tomorrow we're gone.
I say crazy things all the time here.
All right, so they understand that it could be anybody. And this whole idea that we want an escape from politics, I'm sorry. Aren't those days over? An escape, not when politics is about silencing people, not when it's about stripping away your rights, your bodily autonomy, telling you what medicine is no longer, it's just like, what are you talking about? It's like, we don't live in a world of having that luxury. At least I don't think we should. It's a dire time out there. And I think if you do live in that world, and maybe some people can comment and say, I wish this was an escape. I'm sorry. It's not. It's less of an escape and more a navigation through it all. It's all there. If you're trying to escape from what the fuck is going on in our world right now, you have a very privileged world to live in. You're not a visa holder wondering. My Uber driver, when I was driving to the airport the other day, was a migrant from Venezuela. I knew that because it said so on his Uber app, and I was like, geez. They just said they were going to be trying to kick a bunch of Venezuelan asylum seekers out. And I'm just like, this guy needs to remove this from his bio on his Uber. How messed up is I have to think and watch out for my Uber driver that they might get kicked out of our country. This guy with a 5-star rating doing nothing but trying to work a job and live the American dream. So anyway, I disagree with the idea that people want, and again, whatever. Sure, they don't want to tackle hard topics in the morning. I get it. But anyone who says they want an escape from something lives in a bubble that is allowed the escape. I'm sorry, you do. All right, let's move it on from there. Jimmy Kimmel draws 6.26 million viewers. This was a big story, this monologue he gave. Have a listen.
We've got a first read on ratings for Jimmy Kimmel's return to late night last night. According to Disney, the show got 6.26 million total viewers, even with 23% of U.S. TV households preempted among adults 18 to 49. The show saw its best regularly scheduled episode in over 10 years. The monologue has garnered more than 26 million views across YouTube and social platforms.
So is Trump going to take credit for it? Maybe. All right, let's do this. I've got this Baldoni Taylor Swift story coming right up. Let's take a break for our sponsors. Got to feed the kid, folks. You know what I mean? We'll be back after we hear from our mattress sponsor and our smoothie beverage sponsor, because that's what you need in life, a good beverage and somewhere to sleep. We'll be right back. Today's episode of the Rush Hour podcast is sponsored by Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one of my favorites. Ooh, are they delicious. Start your day with a protein-packed breakfast from Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Oh, you thought they only had delicious smoothie options? You're mistaken. Pair that smoothie with a toasted breakfast wrap, order ahead online, and earn rewards with the Tropical Smoothie Cafe app. Like to customize things? Add more good vibes to your smoothie. Fresh add-ins like almonds, spinach and kale, chia seeds, or supplements like protein and Energizer. My favorite smoothie is the Peanut Paradise, chock full of 22 grams of protein. My wife loves the mixed berry Greek yogurt bowl topped with fresh strawberries and blueberries, which comes with a whopping 26 grams of protein. Make every day a getaway with our bold flavors and better for you pairings only at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, you're on Tropic Time now. Now back to the show. Today's episode of the Rush Hour podcast is brought to you by Lisa. That's right, your boy's in the mattress game. I've made it, okay? And thanks to Lisa, we can offer 25% off to my listeners with the code Rush Hour. I've chosen actually the Reserve Hybrid mattress. It is unparalleled comfort with a luxurious high-density memory foam designed to completely cradle your body for the most restful sleep. Don't you just want your body cradled? We all crave that, right? And of course, you get a better sleep, you wake up bushy-tailed, ready to seize the day. And you can go to lisa.com for 25% off, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code RUSHHOUR, exclusive for my listeners. And by the way, 100-day return policy. They ship the box to you. You choose on their website. 20,000 5-star reviews. Need I say more? LEESA.com, promo code RUSHHOUR for 25% off, plus an extra $50 off. Be sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Lisa.com, promo code Rush Hour. We covered this yesterday. Katie and KC actually went to the courthouse to get the documents of the Taylor Swift arrest. Hold on a second. Taylor Swift wasn't arrested, although being such a successful pop star should be a crime, right? No, a man was arrested for jumping over a gate and breaking into Travis Kelce's community, his home. And but what's interesting is that the article that was written didn't involve any of the key facts of the case, leading people to wonder, was this an opportunity taken by Blake Lively's PR to continue to smear Justin Baldoni? I know it sounds like a stretch. Have a listen.
The words Justin Lee Fisher are nowhere on these pieces of paper, by the way.
And that was the person in the Star article that everyone picked up that was accused of being a private investigator who was the man that was arrested for being a process server on behalf of Justin Baldoni. So the question is, did Justin Baldoni hire somebody to break into Taylor Swift's community at 2 a.m. to serve her papers? If there was a world where Justin Baldoni did hire someone to break into Taylor Swift's bubble, then the Taylor Swift community might not like Justin Baldoni for that. It would be bad press for him. Why would an article just make this up unless they were fed this information from somebody? Tinfoil hats, folks.
I'm fucking done with the news.
But I love that. I'm fucking done. I hear you.
Cannot read anything and believe anything anymore. What is this? That's so disheartening.
I hear you. I'm fucking done with it too. But luckily we're here, and we've got a pretty good journalistic batting average. So support your content creators. Go to patreon.com/Dave Neal if you want to support our channel. In the independent news we try to deliver. All right. Speaking of great content creators, our good pal Lauren here tweeted some very interesting news regarding this so-called process server. The story about someone being arrested while trying to serve Taylor Swift papers from Baldoni has been confusing. Rather than wait for media to get their stuff together, I confirmed with a source who has personal knowledge of the situation that Baldoni did not send anyone there to serve her with papers. I kept an open mind at first, thinking the process server must have been someone with severe issues to be acting illegally, which would not be the fault of Baldoni, since multiple news outlets said there was an arrest report, and one even said the man had given them a statement. I didn't want to be outright dismissive. Others have seen an arrest report today which lists 2 names as people who reported the incident. The name of the offender was not made available to the public. There was no mention of legal papers. If someone was attempting to serve Taylor at Travis Kelce's home, it was not the Wayfair parties. So here's something interesting. We don't know for sure if Blake Lively's team was the one who planted Baldoni into this story, but wouldn't that be ironic, don't you think, if Blake Lively accusing Baldoni of astroturfing and smearing her and all these other things to give her a bad name, if she was just the bad guy all along? And again, we don't know. And in a lot of these cases, you don't know who, implanted a name into a story. And again, then you've got the news companies, hiding behind their right to not reveal their sources, which I do believe they have that right. But then there's no accountability. The only accountability that comes from articles getting this stuff wrong is that they lose credibility, and then as a consumer, you decide to support somebody else. That's just the best case scenario. That's kind of how I feel about the Jimmy Kimmel stuff, right? He shouldn't be taken off air by anyone but you. If people don't want to watch his show and the ratings plummet, eventually ABC will remove him from air. Or you support him. You vote with your dollar, you vote with your time, your energy, and all of that. All right, well, there's your update on Blake Lively. So it's getting dirty out there on the streets. Now, the question for Taylor Swift is, does she feel as though Blake Lively is making this a bigger story. And by that I mean, if you're Taylor Swift, people break into your compound. It just happens every once in a while. She's dealing with an active stalker situation. So the question would be, she's got full-time security. That's who, her security is who called the cops, along with a neighbor. But the question would be, if you're Taylor Swift and you see this article where Baldoni's brought into it, does it make you feel as though Blake Lively is just using your name again to, continue to, try to be on the right side of the press? Who the hell knows? But very interesting. A lot of fans are upset with Taylor Swift because she's kind of, decided not to participate in the deposition. She is not exactly dodging a subpoena because as far as we know, the Wayfair parties aren't trying to serve her one. So are they just going to assume that the clock's run out and they won't get a deposition of Taylor Swift? I don't know. Maybe she'll change her mind and make herself available. We'll have to, because no one wants to be deposed except for me. I love a good deposition, especially when they provide coffee. But no one wants to be deposed. But it's it's kind of like your civic duty if you have something to say. So maybe Taylor Swift will come up with some statement or receipt to show that extortion that everyone was talking about. Okay, let's move it on. We're going to go back to Charlie Kirk. A Cubs baseball player is under fire for missing a baseball game to go to the Charlie Kirk funeral. Now, my first thought was, if this baseball player didn't know Charlie Kirk, then yeah, he should be under fire. But that's not the case. Have a listen.
I mean, Charlie, he was, he was someone that I met at the apartments in Arizona where I lived, and then someone who was one of the biggest Cubs fans I ever met. And he texted me after every game, great win for the Cubbies, and he was super, super supportive of us, and obviously someone who was really faithful, so we connected on that front as well.
Okay, so his friend died and he went to the funeral. Listen, baseball has 162 games. I'm sorry. Football, you play 16 games. You try to make it to all of them. You're going to get some days off. There's going to be wear and tear, tread on the tire. This is such a non-story for me. And, I'm a liberal guy, and I think if you bonded with Charlie Kirk over your faith and you wanted to go to his funeral, it's like, don't they have bereavement clauses? You just, if it's important to you, you get, if you're a baseball player, you get several things you get to leave for. The birth of your son, death in the family, death of a friend. I mean, what else, you try to schedule your kids' births on the off season, right? You try to time that ovulation chart in the right direction, you know what I mean? But, would you really want to miss the birth of your kid? For a big game? I mean, come on. I think we got to be reasonable, folks, right? And again, Charlie Kirk's funeral, not the birth of his kid, but he says it was important to his faith. Who the hell am I to judge him? So,
but yeah, I mean, his wife Erica had texted me asking me if I would come to the funeral, and I felt as though it was something that was really important for me to do.
There it was. All right. I accept the answer. I will not be feeling one way or another about this man. Well, let's go back to Jimmy Kimmel. This is the update that came in from, this is CNN actually reporting, they're doing the stats update, and they're sharing that it was a record high Google searches for people asking what time is Jimmy Kimmel on, which is so funny because I was one of those Google searches. I was like, is it 11:30? Have a listen.
Record high Google searches last night for what time is Jimmy Kimmel on? You wouldn't have to check what time Jimmy Kimmel was on if you were a regular viewer. The reason that people were checking what time Jimmy Kimmel was on, because he was potentially pulling in a lot of viewers who normally didn't watch. And get this, it was up over 10,000%.
Yeah, it's like on Easter Sunday when your priest tries to be extra good with his sermon because there's people that only come once or twice a year. So they're trying to maybe pull in some new folks. And, listen, that's the thing with Jimmy Kimmel, right? If 5 million new people watched his monologue, I'm sure it's more than that. The video was at 14 million on YouTube, plus everyone else they're talking about here that watched it. You might get 5 or 10% of them to be repeat viewers. It might even get you bumped up in the YouTube algorithm, so you'll get featured more. I mean, it's a win for Jimmy Kimmel.
goodness gracious. This, of course, dates all the way back since 2004, basically since Jimmy Kimmel was first on the air. So, no, it was not just on YouTube. There was a ton of interest, what we're talking about nationwide, worldwide, in terms of what time was Jimmy Kimmel on? Because I don't normally watch him, but maybe I want to take a gander because maybe I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
And a lot of people were, of course. All right, let's move it on. So here we actually have the Today Show. Speaking of morning TV, the Today Show questioning Marco Rubio, on Trump flip-flopping on the Ukraine war. Now he wants to support the war, but he also said he would end the war on day one. And Marco Rubio, a real pathetic bootlicker. The fact that he might be running for president in the near future is insane to me. This two-faced he was running against Donald Trump, saying what a threat Trump was to democracy and we need to defeat him. Now all of a sudden he takes orders from him. Have a spine, bro.
The president repeatedly, though, did say that he would end the war in Ukraine on day one, and we are some 250 days into the administration.
That's not up to us to end the war. The Russians have to stop the war.
Well, yes,
and the Ukrainians have to agree to a peace deal. What the president expresses that it would be a priority of his. And it has been. I don't think anyone could argue that it hasn't been a priority.
Yes, but again, repeatedly on the campaign trail, he said he would end it on day one. We're 246 days into the administration.
Yeah, again, this is the thing, right? Trump went so hard on Biden about all the money we were giving to Ukraine. How interesting is this? The United States hasn't lost one life in Ukraine because we've sent boots onto the ground. That is amazing that Russia has really depleted their military, shown that they really aren't that strong of a military, even though they have nukes. And we have only supported through financial and military weapons and things like that. Here's Trump saying he would have ended this thing, not on day one, before day one.
I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. Before I even arrive at the Oval Office, I will have the disastrous war between Russia and Ukraine settled. It will be settled quickly.
And that's the whole thing, right? He talks a strong talk. It sounds good, but now 250 or so days into his term, and we are learning the devastation of his policies. Tariffs, which are a tax on the middle class. Tariffs are making it so that we are paying a higher amount for products that we already bought, and the reciprocal tariffs are making it so that manufacturers here in the U.S. that export are in some cases having a hard time finding people that want to buy their products, including the farmers. So here are the farmers, as we find out, that are desperate for a bailout.
That alongside, of course, the president's effort to realign America around American products and making all of these new deals, we are at a point where we're looking at the harvest, where we're looking at our soybean, corn, wheat, sorghum, cotton farmers who are facing very, very difficult times. We are currently in conversations here at the White House, across the government, on a farmer aid package.
A farmer aid package. Do you understand the way they talk about handouts when it's to the single mom who needs food stamps? Oh, she's living off the taxpayer dollar. But when it's the farmers, it's a package to help them out. It's a disgrace. Now listen, I'm not saying we shouldn't help the farmers out. I'm just saying we need to know what the heck's going on. 2017, Trump's insane tariffs hurt farmers. 2017, taxpayers bail out the farmers. 2025, Trump's even more insane tariffs hurt farmers. 2025, taxpayers bail out farmers. And so we are getting doubly taxed. The tariffs are a tax, and then our tax dollars are going to the farmers who can't afford to sell their products. This, folks, is a double whammy against the middle class. That's all it is. So what we could have done was continued with the USAID, where we pay, peanut farms to make peanut butter, which is then sold, to whatever humanitarian cause we're giving it to. These different programs that exist that help people by getting food in their pockets. It helps the farmer and it helps the consumer. It helps on both ends. That is is gone, and we are paying the price to keep these folks afloat. Now, make no mistake about it. I'm all here to support the farmer, even if they voted for these policies. You know why? I'm not an asshole. That's why I'm here to support the farmer and the single mom or dad or the family that just needs some extra help getting by to get their feet on the ground. I think because we live in the richest country in the world, we can afford to do all of these things. How would that happen? With a robust taxing of the ultra wealthy. That's it, folks. That's all it is. So they're actually trying to look at increasing the retirement age, which is already too high. You work your whole life just so at the age of 65, you can chill out a little bit. You know what I mean? It's a rough one out there. They're looking to increase the retirement age just so Social Security doesn't go bankrupt when Bernie Sanders had a plan that would have taxed the ultra wealthy and the system would live on for decades to come. I laugh about Social Security because my generation ain't going to see it, not at this rate. All right, speaking of the rapture, the millennials need the rapture. It's the only way we'll pay off our student loan debt. All right, folks, that's it for us this morning. I hope you enjoyed all of the diverse content that we have for you today. I hope this was an escape from whatever other stuff you got listening to, but we're here for you. All things politics and pop culture all in one place. We'll see you this afternoon. As always, I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.